Good evening and welcome. What looked like a routine congressional hearing today quickly turned into a revealing confrontation over tariffs, economic instability, and who actually pays the price when Washington experiments with trade policy. If you care about small businesses, household prices, or where the economy is headed next, this is one you need to understand. And before we get into it, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss clear, no-nonsense breakdowns like this one.
Education.
Thank you very much.
The chair now recognizes the gentleman from Wisconsin, Mr. Pocan, for 5 minutes.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And thank you, Mr. Secretary, for being with us. My main concern is, I think, what people are looking at the economy. The first 100 days, lowest stock market since Richard Nixon, not usually a measure people are shooting for. On tariffs, the fact that last year we had an effective rate of about 2.5%. I think the Yale Budget Lab, and I believe you went to Yale, has said that effective rate is closer to 28%, the highest since 1901. I know that some of that's changed because the tariffs are on again, off again, some on again, some off again. Somewhat chaotic, I believe, as your term is what, Crazy Ivan style. I compare them to how a monkey throws dung. You're not exactly sure where they're going to land. And that's the concern I have as a small business owner, and I know Ms. Luzenkamp-Perez is as well. I've got small businesses really worried. You made a comment about while cargo volumes have dropped 60%, you see this as a temporary detox. But for a small business that's getting by day to day, that's much bigger. You talked about Main Street. We want to finally focus on Main Street, not Wall Street. I think you were at a global investor conference in Beverly Hills yesterday. That's the cocktail party where you mentioned the Crazy Ivan theory. And before that, you were at a JP Morgan Chase World Bank private investor summit. All those things are not Main Street, right? Main Street is an auto body repair, a specialty printer. So my concern is on the tariffs. Who pays tariffs, Mr. Secretary? No. Answer the questions I asked, please. I only have 5 minutes. Who pays tariffs?
Sorry, well,
Who pays tariffs?
Sorry,
Mr. Secretary, please.
Excuse me.
The question is very simply, who pays tariffs, Mr. Chairman? I'd like him to answer that question.
Well,
He wants to answer other questions.
well, Congressman, if the exporters, dislike tariffs so much, why wouldn't they? If I think what you're trying to get me to say.
Did you remember the question? I'm not sure you did. Who pays tariffs?
It's a very complicated question.
Reclaiming my time. People pay tariffs, right? Reclaiming my time, Mr. Secretary. Reclaiming my time, Mr. Secretary. Reclaiming my time. You clearly aren't going to answer. I'm not going to waste my time having you go, Mr. Secretary, reclaiming, Mr. Chairman, I asked reclaiming my time.
Tariffs.
Mr. Chairman, and I asked to reclaim my time. Did I not? No, I said reclaiming my time because he's clearly not answering it. So, yeah, so as a small business owner, and unfortunately I'd like that time back since you failed to recognize me for 30 seconds. So I just recently from one of my suppliers got the tariff surcharge on things. And in addition to the tariff surcharge, guess what else got raised? American-made walnut plaques. That has nothing to do with tariffs, but companies take advantage and do that. So right now, we are getting screwed right and left because of the indiscriminate use of tariffs. That's the reality for Main Street. And you go off to Beverly Hills for private investor conferences and talk about Crazy Ivan theories. Answer that. What is the Crazy Ivan theory of tariffs that you mentioned at the summit?
Well, first of all, sir, I've had meetings with more than 50 small lenders. So I want to clarify that. I would also say that in game theory, strategic uncertainty, of which you seem to like the name Crazy Ivan.
Well, it's your words, correct? Didn't you use Crazy Ivan at the?
Well, you've used it 5 times. And
answer the question, Mr. Chairman.
I am saying the strategic uncertainty is part of negotiations. That should we say,
okay,
here's what we'll accept. Please take this.
Okay, I've got your answer. Thank you. I'm going to reclaim my time again. So for a small business, we don't have that luxury, right? When the ports are empty in California and we can't get goods and people are stocking up for Christmas goods, Crazy Ivan is great for, please don't take this offense, really rich people like you, but for people like me, it's not. right? That's what makes small businesses fail. That's what makes people lose their jobs. That's what makes the stock market tank. So I'll ask one more time, who pays tariffs?
Sir, the history would show that it is a complicated mix of who pays the tariffs over various times.
So that's exactly the problem. If your answer, and you are a very educated person, you have a very impressive bio, cannot answer the question who pays tariffs because you won't answer that, and you say it's a complicated issue, it's not complicated. Consumers pay Trump's tariff tax. That's the reality. And I'll yield back, Mr. Chairman, but I do think next time if I ask to yield back, I would appreciate having my time yield back.
Chair now recognizes the gentle lady from
Representative Mark Pocan of Wisconsin didn't waste time setting the tone. He framed the first 100 days of the administration's economic record in stark terms, pointing to a stock market slump not seen since the Nixon era. That comparison alone signals how unusual this moment is. While markets are not the only measure of economic health, they are a barometer of confidence, and Pocan made clear that confidence is wobbling. Then came tariffs, the centerpiece of the exchange. Pocan cited data showing that just last year, the effective tariff rate sat around 2.5%. Now, according to Yale's Budget Lab, that rate has surged close to 28%, a level the United States has not seen since 1901. That is not a minor adjustment. That is a fundamental shift in how the U.S. engages in global trade. If this kind of context is useful to you, take a second to subscribe so these explanations keep coming. Pocan described the administration's tariff strategy as chaotic, on again, off again, unpredictable. He referenced Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent's own words from a private investor gathering, where Bessent reportedly compared the strategy to a crazy Ivan, a Cold War submarine maneuver meant to confuse opponents through sudden turns. Pocan translated that metaphor into plain language, saying small business owners feel like they are watching a monkey throw dung, never knowing where it will land. Crude language, yes, but it captured the anxiety many business owners feel when rules change without warning. This is where the hearing moved from abstract policy to lived reality. Pocan pushed back on Bessent's characterization of falling cargo volumes as a temporary detox. For a multinational corporation, a pause can be absorbed. For a small business operating day to day, missing shipments or sudden cost spikes can mean layoffs or closure. Pocan emphasized that Main Street does not have the luxury of waiting out Washington's experiments. If you want more reporting that connects policy to real-life consequences, don't forget to subscribe. The tension sharpened when Pocan contrasted Bessent's stated focus on Main Street with his recent appearances, global investor conferences in Beverly Hills, private summits with J.P. Morgan and World Bank insiders. Pocan's point was not about optics alone, it was about audience. Those rooms are filled with people insulated from tariff shocks. An auto body shop or a specialty printer is not. Then came the most important moment of the exchange, a deceptively simple question that never got a straight answer. Who pays tariffs? Pocan asked it directly. When Bessent tried to pivot to other points, Pocan cut him off, reminding him he had only 5 minutes. This matters because tariffs are often sold as a tax on foreign countries. In reality, economists broadly agree that tariffs are paid up front by importers, costs that are then passed down to businesses and consumers through higher prices. The refusal or inability to answer that question plainly spoke volumes. This was not just a clash of personalities. It was a clash between two economic worldviews, one that treats disruption as a necessary shock therapy, and another that sees predictability as essential for small businesses to survive. If you're finding this breakdown helpful, hit subscribe now so you stay informed as these debates continue. What viewers should take away is this: trade policy is not theoretical. When tariffs spike, costs rise. When costs rise, businesses adjust by cutting investment, raising prices, or cutting jobs. And when policymakers cannot clearly say who bears those costs, accountability gets lost. This hearing exposed that gap, and it's a gap that affects anyone who buys goods, runs a small business, or works for one. For more clear, human-centered explanations of what's really happening in Washington, make sure you subscribe, because we'll keep breaking it down so you don't have to decode it alone.